A senior administration official says the United States will put in place a 50% tariff, or tariffs, plural, on 3 sets of Canadian imports. And those categories are cars, dairy, and alcohol. NBC's Monica Alba is at the White House. Monica, any read on why the Trump administration is imposing these tariffs? Does it all have to do with the wildfires that Canada is struggling to get under control?
These specific ones that you just mentioned, Tom, are not actually related to the wildfires and the controversy of that air, of course, that came over much of the United States and still is in some parts. President Trump obviously expressed his displeasure with that and said that it was possible that they were going to review and consider additional tariffs on Canada as a result of that. But senior administration officials were asked today if these new tariffs that they are unrolling, these new proclamations, are as a result of that. And they said no, but that the president is still considering additional actions. Typically, when you have something like this, these specific tariffs that you just talked about on vehicles, dairy, and alcohol, this would have had to have been in the works for some time, predating the wildfires. We know that the trade relationship has been a bit rocky with Canada, and so they were looking at all of those different things. But what's interesting, Tom, is that yesterday President Trump was actually with Prime Minister Mark Carney at the World Cup final, since Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. were co-hosts of the 6-week tournament. And so we knew, because reporters asked him last night if the president had talked to Prime Minister Carney about that specifically and whether additional action would be expected. And then they did unroll these today. But again, these are separate from the wildfire impact specifically, Tom.
Well, nonetheless, the threats about slapping Canada with tariffs because of the wildfires has really got Canada up in arms. I mean, a Canadian firefighter just died fighting a U.S. forest fire in the last few weeks, right? And there are forest fires burning in the United States that are drifting into British Columbia. So this has really got people on the Canadian side of the border upset.
Certainly, and maybe that was part of the conversation yesterday. The White House did not disclose exactly what they talked about, Tom, but it is still a very active issue.
Monica, always busy where you are. Thank you very much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.